Hello, YouTubers, friends, compatriots, bootlickers, shills, deaths, shorts, pests, vassals, minions, meat sacks. I'm Useful Idiot. Welcome. And today let's go to Italy. And I've done a series of videos following up on the implosion of a lot of these Italian banks, and particularly the oldest bank in the world, um, Monte dei Paschi. And they are now working out the details of a slash bailout, bail-in. And like I say, I've done a series on this following it. And it's been pretty ridiculous all along that they're throwing basically chump change, a huge problem, 360 billion euros in non-performing loans. And so I'm going to do another video, even though a lot of people out there aren't really interested in the story. I think it gives me a deja vu. I'm almost nostalgic, get that warm feeling to see these bank bailouts again. And Italy becoming somewhat of a sick man of Europe, along with so many other European banking systems and economies. But so world's oldest bank to fail, and plans for another private 5 billion euro bailout failed. And they've already had two bailouts, and as I've covered in a previous video, a lot of banks like JP Morgan are involved in trying to set up some private deal and having the country of Qatar chip in a lot of money too, and that didn't happen. So now we're going to have kind of what I was predicting and talking about previously, in that combination of a bail-in and a bail-out, because they have Eurozone rules now where certain of these bank failures have to be handled in a certain way. So now we have a state bailout of 20 billion euros. It's going to be used for several different banks. And Goldman Sachs has already said that they need 38 billion euros to really pull this off. And as we've discussed, considering the banking system has 360 billion euros in non-performing loans and bad assets, then this is a really small amount. And they'll be dealing with it again. It's once again like they've been doing in the Eurozone all along with so many banks, particularly Italian banks too. They're just going to kick the can down the road a little bit more. But for 40,000 junior bondholders will be part of this bail-in. And the bank's ongoing sale of 28 billion euros in bad loans is now in question, and I'm sure is off the table now that they're just discussing this bail-in slash bail-out. And there's going to be a backlash too, although they've set aside a fund, but there's going to be a backlash because a lot of the junior bondholders were lured in. And but there we go, more bank bailouts and bail-ins, and it will be interesting to see what the details end up being in as far as bail-ins. And once again, this fear that people talked about over the last couple of years, and watching places like Cyprus, whether bail-ins are going to become commonplace instead of state bailouts. But as we're seeing right now, at least, it's going to be a combination of the two. And in the end, I'm sure a lot of the senior bondholders will be protected. A lot of people, there's already bank runs going on, so a lot of people are getting out. A lot of players, of course, got advance notice and are already out of there. And there's going to be a lot of people being left handling the bag in Italian banks as they continue to go down. We're going to be hearing about this story again. But there's more calamity for the Eurozone to worry about. And of course, they promised all along that, well, you know, the Italian banks are fine, the Italian economy's fine, and then, of course, it isn't. And now, of course, they're telling us, well, we're going to have a bailout, but there'll be no contagion in Europe. And so let's keep our eyes open for a contagion in Europe, because when they say something isn't going to happen, that's a good clue that, well, it will happen. I'm Useful Idiot. Don't you be one too.